Hey YouTube! Welcome back to my channel. It's time for some comics. These are the comics I picked up in early January, very early January. And because it was very early January, I did get a good handful of issues, but there were some that I thought I was going to get, but probably just hadn't been released quite yet by the time I got there so early in the month. But yeah, they'll be waiting for me in February. And depending on when I go, in February, I might get a couple of issues of the one that I'm missing, so or the ones that I'm missing. So, but either way, a good month still. We're going to start off with one issue. Hi, Pickle. You want to come up here? No. Issue number 3 of the Toxic Avenger. Now, this one starts off with a bit of a flashback to before the spill, before Melvin was the Toxic Avenger, before those events of the train crash that led to him becoming a super powerful mutant. So it shows like him being bullied, and he was like, yeah, I briefly considered suicide, and then he was like, before I threw that out the window, he's like, I was gonna fight back against my tormentors. So he like looked at some like online like defense class like videos to how to fight and stuff like that. So he went to finally go and confront his bullies, Bryce and those guys. And somebody was recording it, and Bryce just ended up squirting like some ketchup all over Melvin's face and calling him like a pipsqueak. I'm not even gonna fight you. How are you gonna beat me, Melvin? You weigh like 98 pounds. And Melvin yells back to him, it's my natural weight. And that became a meme on the internet. So that's what he's known now is the it's my natural weight meme has become, viral. And that's kind of what he's known for, mockingly, of course. So now it flashes back to like current times, quarantine day 4. So the Toxic Avenger, Melvin, he's out there beating down all the people that female that came in to help with the quarantine after the spill to help the mayor. Her forces are out trying to subdue Melvin, but he's beating the shit out of them. And suddenly he rips off one of their helmets, and it's not a human inside. It's like this bug alien creature. He's like, what the fuck? So then there's this other guy that comes out of nowhere. He looks like he's an ex-soldier or something like that, a Marine or something. And him and Melvin take these guys on together, but this guy gets killed eventually. And he says to Melvin before he dies, he's like, you got to get the word out there, son. Like, this is an alien invasion and shit. And before this guy dies, you can also see him radioing to some of his comrades. I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to come into play in the story at some point, but he's in contact with somebody about the situation. So in the meantime, Melvin heads back to his house. His mom and his friend are there, and he's like, they're aliens. They're bug aliens. It's an invasion. And the aide to the mayor that's helping with the quarantine, she approaches one of the kids, one of Melvin's tormentors, one of the girl ones, about striking some sort of deal to be like a brand ambassador or something like that for mutants or whatever. And eventually everything kind of comes to a head when Melvin goes online, and which he doesn't like to do because being online hasn't been good for him. He's it's my natural weight guy, right? But he goes online and he streams some videos and says, you know what? It's a bug invasion. These people aren't human. They're aliens. They're here to take us out. Come down to the spill site with me and I'll show you. So he rallies the whole town around him to come down and challenge these people. But it all ends up in this big fight. People are getting killed and stuff. And right at the end of the issue, that stupid bitch that is helping the mayor pulls up in a van. And out of the van comes Bryce in his mutated form. And he's like, Melvin, I got a bone to pick with you. So obviously, like, Melvin has already dealt with Pluto. Even though Pluto was kind of Melvin's friend in the end, but he had to put him down because he was going on a rampage. Now he's going to have to deal with Bryce. So that's what we're going to see next issue. So I assume we're going to keep, this woman is going to keep trying to send Melvin's natural enemies after him to try and subdue him until she's probably out of people. And I'm also very curious to see this Marine guy that kind of came out of the blue, what involvement his little group is going to play as we go forward. But yeah, I guess we'll find out some of that in about a month from now. Can't wait. All right, next up, we got some Turtles. We got 3 issues, and the first 2 are from a new sub-series that I saw advertised a while back, and then I kind of forgot about, and they didn't put it in my bag of issues that they save for me every month, but I always do a walk through the racks just to see if anything new kind of jumps out at me from other series and stuff like that, and I happened to glance at these, and I was like, oh, issues 1 and 2, so why don't we go there? So issue 1 and issue 2 of the Mutant Nation subseries. So this one, each issue has 2 stories going on at the same time. Well, not at the same time, they're different timing, but in each issue there's kind of 2, they split it up between two angles. So the first one focuses on Raphael. He's out in a town called Kingman, Arizona, serving as like a bouncer in like a roadside motorcycle bar sort of thing. And it shows him one of the waitresses getting like picked on by these guys, and Raph interrupts and beats the shit out of them when they won't fucking leave. So then he goes, he backtracks and goes like, well, this is why I'm here. He's like, I needed to get out of there. I went back to New York to see my brothers for the holidays. It was great catching up with them and Casey and April and all my mutant friends. But he said when Donnie came back, and after he'd been messing with all that weird magic, he just was not himself. He looked so disheveled, and he's like, I couldn't stand being there, so I just had to go. So this is why he's out onto the road doing stuff, and he's got Pepperoni with him. And so he finally decides to move on from this roadside bar, and the owner of the bar wishes him well. She enjoyed his service while he was there. And so he's like, we're going to Las Vegas. So him and Pepperoni are on his motorcycle going to Las Vegas, but all of a sudden he gets blasted. And it's Metalhead, the robotic turtle that Donnie had built, which was supposedly destroyed during the whole Armageddon game arc from a while back. So Metalhead, Raph can't beat Metalhead down. He's grown in size. He's just too powerful. But Metalhead's not trying to kill Raph. He's beating the shit out of him, but he's like, no, I just need your help. I need your help. I need your help. And Raph is finally like, after Metalhead takes Pepperoni captive, he's like, okay, what do you want? He's like, I need you to help me get into Area 51. And Raph is like, what the fuck? So that's what they do. They go to Area 51. Raph causes a distraction, and that allows Metalhead to go deeper into the compound, down to the lower levels. And as Raph is running around upstairs, fighting off all the EPF forces and stuff, Metalhead heads down there. And the last thing we see before the second issue ends on that front is that he comes to this open area that has all these cages, and it's being guarded by this robotic guy. He's like a human head, but he's got this spider robot mechanical thing. I forget his name. I've seen him before. And he's guarding all these cages, which have a whole bunch of mutants in them. Pete the Pigeon's in there. Who else? Mondo Gecko was in there, and some other ones as well. So Metalhead is going, it looks like, after these mutants, or maybe after this guy. I don't know. I don't know what Metalhead's agenda is, but we're going to find out next month, hopefully, if they have issue 3 for me. And the next one up, the last Turtles issue for this month, is issue 5 of the regular ongoing series. So in this one, it focuses on that district attorney, Hale, that is running a campaign against mutants in New York City. And it kind of tells how he came to that position. So he flashes back to when he was a kid in school, and it's like, I wasn't even picked on. I was just ignored. It was like I didn't exist. He's like, I would rather have been picked on, because then at least people would have recognized that I was there. I was a person. And he's like, the only people that mattered to me were my parents. They were always excited to see me, to hear about what I was doing, that I became a lawyer. They were so proud of me. But then he said one time I came home and they had been, it looked like there had been a burglary attempt and they were murdered. So that kind of set him over the edge. And so then it flashes to how he became district attorney. So basically, he was kidnapped and by Karai, and told, like, this mutant, I forget what he was, a guinea pig or a gerbil or a hedgehog, or no, not gopher, I don't know what he was, but this is the mutant that murdered your parents. it's like, don't you want revenge? So Karai tosses this like mace onto the floor, and Hale's like, well, I've never done violence before, like I don't know what to do. And then finally he's like, he gets into it, and then he's just about to lower the boom on this mutant when Karai says, okay, that's enough. And they've been recording the whole time, and she's like, we got evidence of this, so you're my puppet now. And he's like, what do you want from me? And she's like, just want you to run for district attorney. And she hands him a button with vote Hale on it, sort of thing. So Karai wants to install, you know, him as a puppet for her to kind of have control, I guess, over the city or whatever. So then eventually what happens is Casey Jones is going on a rampage against the Foot Clan, and these Foot, well, they're not necessarily noticeably Foot Clan, like they're dressed a little differently than Foot soldiers, but Casey Jones is going after them, and he knows they've been Foot Clan trained, right? So eventually he gets overwhelmed and taken captive, and Hale goes to talk to him and is like, and Casey Jones is like, where's Karai? Like, I know that she's behind this. This is Foot Clan trained forces. Like, what's going on? Where is she? And Hale's like, oh, she's indisposed right now. And then he tosses a mace onto the floor, and he says, yeah, no, I'll give you a fighting chance here, right? So then Casey eventually goes for the mace, and then Hale just shoots him. That's how the issue ends, is Casey Jones getting shot. So it's like, is Casey Jones dead? Ay caramba. Oh, and I forgot. I forgot there was 2 stories going on in this Mutant Nation issues, and I totally forgot to tell you the other one. So backtracking back to the Mutant Nation issues, the other story arc is that Casey Jones is in Tokyo, and he gets April calls him from New York. They're having this long distance call, and April is like, oh, have I caught you at a bad time? And he's like, well, yeah, the time change. It's kind of like 5 in the morning right now or whatever. But meanwhile, he's out beating the shit out of thugs, because these thugs are attacking a restaurant or something like that paid protection money to Karai and her Foot Clan to protect them, sort of thing. So he's there getting rid of these guys, and he's talking to April about Karai, and he's like, yeah, ever since, remember back in the untold story of the Foot Clan issues, it was like a 4 or 5 issue miniseries about how Karai kind of got control of the Foot Clan, and the Dog Star soldiers that were her rival clan that wanted control of the Foot Clan or whatever, and set her off the edge. And then she brokered that deal with whoever it was for some sort of power, and she kind of, now she has like a dragon kind of living within her, sort of thing, and her eyes all weird. So Casey's talking to April about, yeah, Karai's just different. There's something wrong with her ever since she went and did that thing, and I don't know if we can trust her and whatever. And meanwhile, Karai is eavesdropping on Casey Jones and is watching what he's doing and what he's saying, and Karai, one of Karai's advisors or whatever, says like, hey, should we get rid of him? Like, he's questioning your judgment and stuff. And she's like, it's okay to question judgment and leadership. It's what he does with that, you know, sort of thing. So she's not pissed off, but she is aware of the situation, and they feel that they should test him, sort of thing. So eventually Casey Jones, he helps Bebop and Rocksteady go to Las Vegas or something by teleporting and some stuff like that. And then when he's doing that, Karai comes in and is like, oh, I got a job for you, Casey Jones. You got to help me with an interrogation. And that's kind of how the second issue ends on that story front. So Casey Jones is about to be tested by Karai. So there's all these intersecting timelines and issues involving that whole storyline with Casey Jones working with Karai and the Foot Clan. And so obviously, like, this issue 5 of the regular series, he wasn't really working with her at that point when he got shot by Hale, because he was asking where she is and what she's up to and sort of thing. But this sub-story, like Mutant Nation in there, he's working for her when she's got the Foot Clan and fighting against the Dog Star soldiers. So it's very confusing, the timelines and stuff, but I love the stories regardless. I may have to look up like a complete overall overarching kind of storyline of how everything fits together, because when you read an issue here and there and it's like, oh shit, this comes before that and that comes after that, you know, sort of thing. So it would be nice to get like an overall kind of visual of the whole situation and not be so confused. But I live my life confused, so it's really not that big of a problem. Third up, just one lonely issue of Transformers. Remember when there used to be so much Transformers and now it's like just one issue a month? It's like, that's not gonna do. Anyways, it is issue number 15 of the ongoing regular series. So as this one starts up, we get a glimpse of Soundwave and the Decepticons that are loyal to him, just causing chaos on the Pacific Northwest. They're just laying waste to the Earthling cities in an effort to kind of draw the Autobots out, because they know the Autobots are all sympathetic and compassionate, and they know, like, just by causing just killing people and causing all sorts of destruction, they'll have the Autobots on the back foot. In the meantime, Optimus is with RC, and RC's like, sorry, Optimus, I've got to go find Ultra Magnus. He helped me when I was in trouble. Because remember, he was back and they repaired him, and he was going to help them in that plan to attack the Decepticons, but then he saw Shockwave, who tortured him for so long, and he was like, Gah! And then he fucked off. So RC wants to go find him, and Optimus is like, well, we kind of need you here. And she's like, sorry, Optimus, this is something I have to do. And then Carly and Spike, the two human teenagers, along with Beachcomber, are like, we'll come with you, RC, and keep you company and help you out. And Optimus is like, well, Beachcomber, we could use you too. And Beachcomber's like, Optimus, I promise never to fight again. This isn't my deal. He's like, I'll go help RC get Ultra Magnus. I'll be more use kind of doing that sort of thing. So Optimus is like, oh, okay. So then Optimus, Jazz, and Wheeljack decide to they're going after the Decepticons. So they stumble upon the scene where the Decepticons have recently been wreaking havoc, and are horrified by all the destruction. So they try and help, and him and Wheeljack, or Jazz, I forget who it is, like, are lifting up a city bus to try and save some people that are inside of it. But the humans mistake them, like they don't really know about Autobots being good and Decepticons being bad. So they start attacking the Autobots and leave them no choice but to kind of retreat. So Optimus, on the way back to the Ark, Optimus is talking to Wheeljack about these weird visions he's been having, and his personality is kind of sometimes reverting back to a more savage time on Cybertron, when he was a little more war-thirsty, when the war was fresh, sort of thing. And Wheeljack's like, well, it could have something to do with the Matrix. You know, when Sparky kind of interacted with it, he was an organic thing. Like, there could be something funky going on. And Optimus is like, well, let's just go back to headquarters, and with the energon we got, we can probably reactivate another one of our brothers, sort of thing. And so they get back to the Ark, and they put Trailbreaker on the table, ready to reactivate him. But that's when all of a sudden they're attacked. Astrotrain swoops into the scene and causes all sorts of chaos, and he delivers all of his charges, who, if you remember, Starscream, whose torso is now attached to a Cobra Hiss tank, as well as the Combaticons. They stumble in, and they're about to take the piss out of the Autobots, but at that point, Soundwave and his charges, and Thundercracker, the Constructicons, all stumble into the scene as well. And Soundwave and Starscream hate each other. They're kind of leading these rival factions of Decepticons. So that's kind of where the issue ends, with the Combaticons about to form Bruticus, and these two Decepticon sides going at each other. So that could be the Autobots' salvation here, is they could just let these two sides battle it out, and they can just fuck off and stay out of it. But we'll find that out in February. But while all of this is also going on, there's a kind of part of the story that focuses on Cliffjumper, who ended up on Cybertron after the events of the last issue. And he wakes up and he's like, where am I, on Cybertron? Oh my god, it's a ravaged wasteland. And Blue Streak and Warpath kind of stumble upon him, and Cliffjumper's like, guys, oh, it's so good to see you. And Blur is also there, and they're in rough shape. They've been battling it out with the Decepticons. They've got some energon though, and they're heading back to headquarters, I think. And they also meet up with Elita 1, and I forget. No, I don't think much really happens with that part of the storyline. Yeah, it just kind of shows how savage that they've been on Cybertron in this war with the Decepticons, that everybody's just like Blue Streak takes out Ramjet and kind of sticks a knife in his back when he's on guard duty, sort of thing. So and Cliffjumper's kind of taken aback by the savagery that's being displayed, but they're all like, Cliff, you haven't been here, you haven't seen what we've had to go through, sort of thing. Like, it's a crazy time. So that's kind of where nothing else much really happens on Cybertron, but maybe setting up for something next issue. I don't know, but yeah, I can't wait. All right, last up, we got 2 issues of G.I. Joe. First up, number 2 of the newer kind of sub-series that kind of talks about the G.I. Joe team's origins, like Hawk leading this team, being chosen to lead this team, but having his doubts, and Hawk trying to talk Duke through, like, well, you can't just make them all yourself. You gotta gather everybody's capabilities and weaknesses and make them work the best you can with what they've got and with each other, sort of thing. So remember that from the first issue. So they're in the middle of their assignment at the start of the second issue. Remember, they were guarding a piece of Cybertron tech. I think it's a piece of Megatron that's in this facility. So Duke and his team have been stationed there to keep an eye on it and repel any attacks. Sure enough, Cobra has attacked. So we're right in the middle of that action when we pick up in the second issue. Rock and Roll has just freshly been shot and killed, unfortunately. God bless Rock and Roll. And it looks like the Joes are being subdued. Like, Cobra has control. Stalker's in bad shape. Clutch is in bad shape, it looks like. Cover Girl has been taken captive. But Duke, commandeering a Cobra helicopter, busts into the scene, starts shooting the place up, and starts the battle anew, sort of thing. So some Cobra Valkyries, which I've never heard of before. They're basically female Cobra troopers that are kind of ruthless. They come in and start causing all sorts of chaos. And the fight is kind of restarted anew, like I said. And the Joes get their hands on some of the Cobra tech, which are like Cybertronian fueled, Energon fueled laser blasters. And Cobra Commander's like, oh, well, we can't have these weapons falling into G.I. Joe's hands, so let's do this. And he hits a button that basically self-destructs all these weapons, sort of thing, right? And that's kind of causes all this chaos. Like, Cobra and Joes alike are being throttled by these exploding weapons, sort of thing. And in the meantime, like, Destro is with Cobra at their base or facility or whatever, and Destro's kind of talking to Cobra Commander like, we need complete transparency here. Like, you didn't tell me you built a failsafe into these weapons that would blow them all up. Those are expensive. Those are valuable weapons, sort of thing. So he's like, if we want to have a partnership here, like, we need to be honest and whatever, that sort of thing, right? So while that's going on, the Joes are kind of recovering. They're all in the hospital. Duke's in bad shape. Cover Girl's got all these burns all over her. Stalker is holding on for dear life. Rock and Roll has obviously been killed, and Clutch is missing. And they presume him dead, but they won't know until they clear the wreckage. But just as the issue is ending off, while Cobra and Destro are having this conversation about the weapons and stuff, we see Cobra Trooper skulking through the base, and he takes his helmet off, and it's Clutch, and he goes, "Clutch, old boy, what have you got yourself into this time?" sort of thing, right? So he's taking the initiative to kind of infiltrate this Cobra base and see what the fuck is up, right? So, bold, daring. Would you expect anything less from Clutch? No. Last up, issue 312 of the regular ongoing G.I. Joe series. So this is the whole Springfield debacle, and it looks like it's coming to a close soon. So as it picks up, Serpentor, Khan, and Destro are having a fisticuffs battle in the middle of town, and they're talking about how well each of them will be able to beat the other one because they know warfare is so much better. It's like Serpentor Khan's like, I have the DNA from so many war leaders across time. Like, I've seen this, I've done that, whatever. And Destro's like, meanwhile, is like, well, I'm a weapons designer, so guess what? Targeting system. Boom! This big plane comes in and just wipes Serpentorcon off the face of the earth. So victory, Destro, right? In the meantime, Serpentorcon's mutant cyborg forces are marching on Springfield, and they're supposed to go to the community center, I think, but instead they detour to the hospital, saying like, "Yeah, we'll just wipe out the hospital. All the wounded that they're helping, we'll just kill them all, thin the herd, kill all the weak ones, and then we'll finish with the other ones." But of course, we know Baroness has been taken to the hospital after being shot because she's in critical condition. And Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Scarlet, the other ninjas, the Dreadnoks are all keeping guard on Baroness while she's in there. So when these forces march up to the hospital, all those Joes and Dreadnoks and whatever are standing out front of the hospital being like, oh, I don't think so, right? So then a big battle erupts, and of course, like Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are gonna lose a fucking battle fighting together against people, right? So they take care of that, and then Destro walks through kind of the smoky wreckage of that battle and says, Baroness, where is she? And they're like, they're bringing her right down right now. They just operated on her, sort of thing. And he's like, great. I'm calling my helicopter boys. They're going to whisk her back to Scotland to my, high-tech medical facilities, right? In the meantime, we're going to pay Cobra Commander a visit. So they then march on the community center, and where the decoy Cobra Commander, the regular trooper that's wearing Cobra Commander's armor, is outside the community center, the only guy posing as Cobra Commander. And Destro's like, this isn't Cobra Commander. The real Cobra Commander is holed up in the bottom of the community center, and he would normally have all of his other forces out here to protect him while he's cowering in there. So this is just a decoy. So Destro wipes him out, and then he's like, Cobra Commander, I know you can hear me. I know you got cameras out here. I'm coming to get you. So then, like, the Joes and the Dreadnoks are like, okay, let's go. We got you. Let's go get him. And Destro's like, nope. Thanks for the offer, but I'll take care of this myself. And oh yeah, stand back from this facility a ways while I go do this, because it's gonna get a little hairy, sort of thing. And that's kind of where the episode ends off, with Destro about to go wring Cobra Commander's neck. So, I mean, we've seen that tale before, haven't we? Oh, bad guys. Will they ever learn?
Meow.